Hi guys, today's tutorial is going to be on Assassination PvE. I'm going to go through, as usual, talents, glyphs, reforging, gemming, and a bit of a rotation. Okay, so the talents first, they can vary a bit. I tend to change my talents around a lot more now, depending on whether I'm questing and so on. Using Tomb of Clear Mind, to be honest, how talents work now, I think it is a good idea to switch them around to whatever circumstances you're under, whether you're in a small dungeon or questing and then going into raiding. Different talents are best for different situations. I will go through that as I go through the talents. Really, on the first tier, Subterfuge and Night Stalker are both they're more PvE and stability, PvP and stability sort of orientated. So Shadow Focus is the one you want to do because you can start in stealth and open with your ambush, and obviously it will cost less energy. You can get straight up into your slice and dice and rupture as quickly as possible. So reduced energy is where you want to go. Here again. Nerve Strike is a good one to take when you're questing, or maybe in small dungeons, soloing rares or bosses or whatever. For raiding, and to be honest, I just use Combat Readiness over the Nerve Strike because I just prefer it, to be honest. Because if you are really getting focused, you do get 50% damage reduction for 20 seconds, so it is just better overall. But you might want to take Nerve Strike if you're just questing or whatever, because it might help you a bit more. Deadly Throw is a throw with a slow, better for PvE, PvP, I keep saying PvE, I mean PvP, yeah, it's a more PvP orientated thing. In this tier, I've got Leeching Poison on the moment because I've just been questing, but I usually use, in raid circumstances, Cheat Death, because Leeching Poison isn't going to do a lot of heals for you, and that might just save you from wiping on the raids, so your healers have a better chance of healing you back up because you've got 80% reduced damage for 3 seconds. Another take could be Elusiveness, however this does use energy, so I don't like to take it myself. It's a good PvP take though, however. On this tier, it's entirely up to you. Shadow Step is quite a good one to take because of being able to get out of the way by targeting your raid members and being able to shadow step to them as well now. Burst of speed is quite good as well for moving out of, if you're moving around a lot, but I like to take Cloak and Dagger myself just because I like it for questing because it kind of speeds the process up, and I also use a combination with that Vanish in it for moving between bosses quickly. I don't see Shadow Step myself. I don't have trouble getting away from AoE damage on the floor or etc, but it is a possible take. So here is kind of personal preference, really. I mean, none of them are going to be a DPS increase, but they're more helping you with encounter tactics and so on. Here it's entirely up to you. Paralytic Poison is an option. Dirty Tricks is also an option, and Prey on the Weak is an option. Mostly between these two, I mean, Dirty Tricks can be good for crowd control. They don't break your damage, but really it's more of a PvP orientated sort of move. Paralytic Poison is also quite helpful. I used to take it because of the extra stuns on taking trash, but I just decided to go for Prey on the Weak because 10% increased damage if you use a Sap Gouge or Blind or Cheap Shot or so on. So it's not often I do use it, but when you're on trash, and I sometimes blind when I'm taking down rares or something when I'm questing. I use blinds sometimes to give myself a bit of time to get recoup up, and also it will give me the 10% increased damage as well. So if I'm, just struggling a little bit, I use the blind, and it kind of works well around a week. To be honest, the most beneficial to your raid is going to be Paralytic Poison, because it's the one you're going to use the most in Trash, for instance. Down here, because Assassination, you're hitting a lot of combo points at once, and you're not getting, obviously because you're using Mutilate, you're not getting it go off as often as something like Sinister Strike if you're in combat. So it's more difficult to manage your combo points, so you want to use the maximum combo points as possible. Also, I like to, you'll see in my rotation later, I like to overdo my combo points if I'm waiting for Envenom to fall off, because you don't want to refresh it unless it's fallen off. So Anticipation helps you build up more combo points whilst you're waiting for it to fall off, so you can get the Rupture quickly or whatever. So those are my talents. Okay, Glyphs, quickly. Glyph Vendetta is your only must glyph, because obviously it increases the duration of it. Yes, it decreases the bonus of your Vendetta by 5%, but the duration of 10 seconds. Overall, you get more damage. Cloak of Shadows I like to take, that's just personal preference. It reduces your damage taken by 40%, that just helps you out when you're taking damage in the raid. And Deadly Momentum, now really, I don't know whether it's justifiable to take this or not, because obviously your Envenom refreshes your Slice and Dice, so I never really find myself needing to refresh it, but on Trash, when you're doing maybe 4 mobs, you're wanting to, in your rotation, hit each of them with a Rupture and get as much Rupture as you can up, and therefore you'll get more energy regeneration, so the amount you're using Envenom isn't as much. So Slice and Dice is quite nice just to make sure your Slice and Dice stays up, because Glyph of Deadly Momentum is quite nice to make sure your Slice and Dice stays up, because that twinned with Envenom means you probably never really need to refresh it. Other options could be, I don't know really, I mean it's down to you, personal preference again. You could take Evasion for a bit of survivability again, maybe. Yeah, it's, there's no other major one. Ambush might be quite nice, although you don't really need it. It's down to you, but that's what I take. Obviously with minor glyphs, it's kind of personal preference again. I just take Safe Fall in case you're getting thrown up in the air, you don't want to take as much damage, and Blurred Speed just because it's just nice to have. Okay, so stat priority and gems. I will put down in the description the priority and which gems I use. Obviously, as an Assassination rogue, most of your damage is based on poisons, and your mastery increases the damage done by your poisons. So obviously that is going to be your main reforge. So you want to obviously get your hit, well mine are a bit over actually at the moment, your hit and expertise capped. Get those capped to 7.5, so your special attacks also 0% basically, and your dodge chance is 0%, so you can't be dodged, and you can't be you can't miss with your special attacks. So once those are capped out, you need to put as much as you can into mastery to get the maximum damage from your poisons, and then anything else goes into crit and hastes. Just sort of vary it a bit. I mean, haste obviously increases regeneration speed, which is nice, and crit doing extra damage. So yeah, those two. As Assassination, I like to take haste over crit, but it doesn't scale very well, but it's just obviously as long you're going to be putting most of it into mastery, so that's your reforge. Gems, you want to be getting as much agility out of your gems as possible, and also with your Yellow gems I'm getting mastery and agility, as you can see here. Red I'm taking agility, and blue I'm taking agility and hit. Now it's up to you what you take in blue. Blue gems are pretty useless at the moment. Obviously, well, it's a purple gem, but in general blue and purple and green gems are pretty useless. They give you things like hit and they're not useful. But then I suppose giving your gems a bit of hit, you get your socket bonus, which I always go for, and it takes less reforging into hit. So I will put the names of the gems in the description, but they're the basic gems you want to look for. Try and get agility out of your gems as much as possible. Meta would be the agility and increased critical effect. Any other gems, obviously your Shard Touch gem, I haven't got one yet, but that would be your, I believe it is critical strike, but don't quote me on that. I can't remember what they are now, but it's a lot of whatever it is, I can't remember now. Okay, rotation, I'll go through this very slowly. You want to start in stealth. Your opening move, some people start with Garrote. That's all very well in PvP, so you're getting your extra damage on them, but I just believe start of ambush, because you're going to get your rupture up very quickly, as you can see. So we're going to start with ambush, straight away get those combo points, then E, and then rupture. Get those slice and dice up and rupture up as quickly as possible, build up your combo points with mutilate, and then get your end venom off. And then just rinse and repeat. Build up your combo points, get your end venom off, refresh your rupture when it comes. And obviously you've got your cooldowns, so use those. This is just a bit of casual damage. You don't necessarily need, yeah, it wasn't brilliant damage, but yeah, I was only showing you the rotation. So, right, so what did I do just then? Right, what we want to do is, as I said, we start in stealth. I use ambush to open because it gets you an extra couple of combo points. As soon as I've ambushed, I'll put them into my slice and dice. That's the only time you're ever going to need to use slice and dice, because by the time that falls off, you'll have had your end venom up and it will refresh it to its maximum potential, so 36 seconds, and every time you use your end venom it refreshes your slice and dice. So you stealth straight into your ambush, then into your slice and dice, and then mutilate again and rupture. So you're having your rupture up. Now rupture, we only want it up for the attack, increased attack damage. Is it increased attack damage? I don't remember. What is it? We don't want it, yeah, we want it for the increased damage. We're not bothered about it. Sorry, it's making a noise. We're not bothered about its damage. Its damage is pretty poor. But you can take it to high combo points if you wish, but it's more important to have Venom up. So starting off again, we'll go again. Starting off an ambush, taking your E, taking your slice and dice, back into mutilate, back into rupture, back into mutilate, build it up to 4 or 5 combo points. Obviously use your ooh, I can't remember the name of the spell. Let me just cheat and find it. Where's it gone? I saw it. I just saw it. No, I didn't. Dispatch. Sorry about that. I forgot the name of the spell. Obviously your dispatch will proc and you'll be able to hit it for free. So whenever that does, use that for the extra combo points without using energy. So in terms of priority, make sure your rupture's always up. Make sure your slice and dice is always up. Other than that, end venom. Make sure you don't refresh end venom unless it's already fallen off. Okay, that concludes my tutorial. I might do a bit of a macro tutorial afterwards. So here we go, going into Raid Finder to use my assassination. Hope this helped, guys. I'll see you soon.